Have you ever felt frustrated because you couldn't stick to a change? Like you lack discipline, willpower, or the drive that others seem to have? What if I told you the issue isn't your ability, but your approach? The samurai of feudal Japan followed a harsh principle of self-awareness. The enemy isn't outside your castle, it lives within. And they discovered something crucial. The real struggle isn't laziness or lack of motivation. It's your own ego convincing you that you must change everything all at once. Have you experienced this? You start the week promising to wake up early, exercise, eat well, study, and meditate, and 3 days later, it's all gone. Then comes that inner voice telling you that you're weak. But you're not weak. You're fighting the wrong battle. The Japanese philosophy of Kaizen challenges everything you've heard about personal transformation. Big changes don't come from huge efforts. They come from tiny, consistent actions repeated with precise focus. Stay with me, because by the end, you'll learn the exact method the Japanese used to rebuild a nation devastated by war, simply by improving just 1% each day. What you're about to discover goes against most productivity advice out there and may completely change how you see discipline. Take a deep breath, because this is where you'll understand why you've been failing and how to finally win the internal struggle. Before we dive into practical steps, I need to ask you something. This isn't just for the channel, it's for yourself. When you write something down, when you commit your words externally, something changes internally. The Japanese call this kotodama, the spirit of words. So, pause for a moment and write one sentence in the comments. I choose 1% today. It seems simple, but each comment like this helps spread Japanese philosophy to more people. The algorithm recognizes this engagement, meaning more people who need this message will see it. Comment below and join a community dedicated to real transformation. If you've made it this far without leaving a like, do it now. It takes 2 seconds, but it tells YouTube this content is valuable and helps reach more people who mistakenly think their failure is due to lack of discipline. Also, check if you're subscribed. The next video continues this series on building discipline, mental strength, and preparing to enter 2026 at a new level. Every like, comment, and subscription shows that you're not alone, that others are willing to change. Now, let's dig deeper into the root of why your mind feels weak. Think about every time you broke a promise to yourself. That Monday when you vowed to start working out, or New Year's resolutions abandoned within days. What went wrong? It wasn't laziness or lack of motivation. It was something deeper and more dangerous. Zen masters taught a harsh truth. Each broken promise is a brick in the wall separating you from your true strength. The worst part? Every failure trains your mind to see promises as worthless. It registers that you're unreliable, that your words carry no weight. Each frustrated attempt reinforces this pattern, teaching your brain to give up. Think about it. You decide to overhaul your life. Wake up at 5 a.m., exercise, cut sugar, study, meditate, all at once. At first, it feels exciting. But your mind panics because it's being asked to sustain massive change with the same neural circuits that kept you comfortable before. It's like expecting a regular car to do the work of a tank. It can't handle it. When you fail, shame quietly settles in. That inner voice whispers, "Not again." You give up, silently, and store that feeling until the next burst of motivation triggers the cycle again. This is the deadly loop of failed transformation. Each repetition weakens your mind further, teaching it that change equals suffering. Japanese philosophy calls this MUI, the void between intention and action. Samurai understood the true enemy wasn't external. It was this internal void that paralyzed action. Recognizing this is the first step to breaking the cycle. Here's the principle that changed everything for me. Kaizen. Continuous improvement. It's not about massive overnight transformation. It's about subtle, almost invisible progress that your brain barely notices. That's why it works. Every time you promise to wake up at 5 a.m. and work out for 2 hours, your brain sees a threat. It knows that's unsustainable and sets you up for failure. But if you do just 1 push-up today, the brain registers a small, real victory. Tomorrow you do 2, then 3. Gradually, without noticing, you're building a consistent pattern, rewiring your habits, and reclaiming control. Discipline isn't born from a single massive effort. It's born from consistent, controllable actions, those you can repeat without getting stuck. The Japanese understood this centuries ago. They built entire empires on this philosophy. The hidden truth nobody tells you is that a tiny action repeated daily has more transformative power than 1,000 grand promises that never leave the page. Now, let's go deeper. There's a second Japanese principle that complements Kaizen in a remarkable way. Together, these principles can literally reprogram how your brain handles habits. Comment Kaizen every day below if you're following along. If you want to apply this in real life, I've prepared a practical guide called The Path of Japanese Discipline. It goes beyond what we're covering here and shows exactly how to turn an ordinary mind into a disciplined, focused, and unshakable one. A mind that acts every day, even when motivation fails, even when you're exhausted, even when no one is watching. This method teaches you to eliminate procrastination, master unstable emotions, and build silent consistency, the kind that shapes true winners. It's not about temporary enthusiasm. It's about developing mental power that sustains lasting results. Over 1 million people have already transformed using these techniques. I left the link in the description, but it may be removed at any time. If it resonates, take advantage while it's available and join this transformation. Now, let's explore how the samurai forged an unshakable mind. Centuries ago, they were recognized as the most disciplined warriors in history, not because of talent or luck, but because of their mentality. Samurai didn't wait for motivation to train. They didn't rely on feeling like it. They repeated the basics obsessively every day until it became part of their identity. It wasn't effort, it was ritual. And this is the key revelation. The warrior doesn't trust emotion. He trusts habit. While you wait for the perfect day to start, he's already repeated the same movement 1,000 times. While you chase advanced techniques, he's mastered the fundamentals. That's what makes a person unshakable. Not doing extraordinary things, but doing ordinary actions with extraordinary consistency. There's a concept called tamashi, the warrior's soul, which reflects the idea that you don't just train the body, you train the spirit. You forge your mind through conscious repetition. Discipline isn't about feeling, it's about acting regardless of how you feel. Samurai understood that emotion is unstable, but ritual is solid. They built their lives on this principle, and you can too. The hidden truth is that transformation doesn't depend on a magical moment. It depends on deciding to show up every day, even when you don't feel like it, even when no one's watching, even when progress feels invisible. These are the moments that forge your mind. Applying the Kaizen ritual. Understanding this is one thing, but applying it is another. Here's the simplest and most effective way to put Kaizen into practice. Start with an extremely small habit. And when I say small, I mean tiny. Not running 10 kilometers, just putting on your sneakers. Not reading a book, just 1 page. Not meditating 30 minutes, just 3 deep breaths. The brain doesn't resist what's small. It resists what seems impossible. Do this habit every day without negotiating. It doesn't matter if you're tired, had a hard day, or don't feel like it. You show up. Here comes another Japanese principle. Ishigo ichi, meaning each moment happens only once and will never return. Every time you show up, even minimally, it's a unique victory that builds your identity. A little-known secret. Always do it in the same place and at the same time. This creates what the Japanese call ma, the sacred space between actions. Associating your habit with a specific time and place forms a ritual. The brain loves rituals. It stops questioning and simply executes. And a golden rule: never fail 2 days in a row. 1 lost day is an accident. 2 lost days is the start of a pattern, and bad patterns destroy everything you've built. Discipline starts small but ends dominant. Quiet, yet all-conquering. What happens after 30 days? Following this ritual for 30 days transforms you silently, behind the scenes. At first, resistance is strong. Your brain will insist it's too small, too insignificant. Around day 10, mental resistance decreases. You stop questioning and simply act. That's the beginning of the real journey. By day 20, focus becomes automatic. You no longer fight distractions the same way. Clarity emerges naturally because your mind sees consistency and begins to respect it. This is when Jishin, silent confidence, appears. Not loud, showy confidence, but the internal certainty that you act regardless of anything. After 30 days, your identity changes. You're no longer someone trying to be disciplined. You are disciplined. Your mind understands that you are serious. It stops sabotaging you. This is the hidden truth. Discipline isn't about willpower. It's about building a version of yourself that no longer negotiates. Kaizen isn't motivation. It's psychological strategy. Kaizen as psychological warfare. Kaizen isn't a motivational trick. It's daily psychological warfare against your weakest self. This battle isn't fought with speeches or music. It's fought in silence, when no one's watching, when you have no reason to continue, but you continue anyway. Motivation is unreliable. Most days, you won't feel like acting. That's where the system comes in. While motivation fluctuates, the system stays. While emotion sabotages, ritual saves. The Japanese mastered this centuries ago. They have a concept called gaman, enduring the unbearable with patience and dignity. It's about doing what needs to be done regardless of feelings. Weak men negotiate with their minds. Warriors create systems that remove choice. Remove choice, remove indecision, and act. Kaizen isn't about perfection. It's about creating structure so solid that nothing external can knock you down. The turning point. There's a moment in every Kaizen journey where everything changes. Resistance stops fighting you. Most people never reach it. They give up too soon, thinking struggle is eternal. But it's not. Early days, the mind complains. It offers excuses and doubts. You ignore it and continue. After a week, it tests you. Fatigue, obstacles, lack of energy. But you keep showing up. Gradually, the mind yields. One day, resistance disappears. You act without thinking, doubting, or hesitating. This is Mushin. Mind without mind, pure flow. Kaizen doesn't break you by force. It wins through invisible persistence. Resistance dies from neglect. You simply stop giving it attention. True power isn't in winning epic battles against yourself. It's in showing up consistently until your mind obeys. It's about no longer having battles to fight. The modern samurai mentality is about the final identity you choose to build. Now, I want to go deeper because it's time for you to truly understand who you're becoming. Following this path isn't just about creating habits. It's about forging an identity. You are becoming a modern samurai. And this isn't a metaphor. It's a precise description of the person you choose to be. The modern samurai isn't motivated by external factors. He doesn't need inspiring phrases, epic music, or applause. He wakes up and does what must be done because that's who he is now. He doesn't argue with emotions. When laziness knocks, he ignores it. When doubt appears, he keeps moving forward. Emotions are temporary. The system is eternal. He executes the basics every day, not because it's exciting, not because results are immediate, but because he understands something most people miss. While others chase intensity, the samurai chooses consistency. And it is consistency that builds empires. Silent repetition shapes destinies. Mastering the basics is what separates the mediocre from the legendary. There's a Japanese concept called kokarashi, meaning unshakable purpose. It's a determination that doesn't negotiate, waver, or bow before obstacles. Cultivate this, and you win, not because you're the fastest, but because you never stop. Here's the brutal truth. Few will follow through. Many will watch, find it interesting, and return to their routines. Fewer will start, fewer still will persist, and only a small fraction will become dangerously disciplined. But if you've made it this far, you already know you're part of that group. This journey is yours, and there's no turning back. The final lesson: fidelity to the process. Everything discussed comes down to one truth that must be ingrained in your mind. You don't need to change your entire life today. You don't need to wake up tomorrow as a completely different person. You only need to win this day. Silently. without an audience, without likes, without applause. Then repeat this until you become inevitable. The Japanese have a term called shokunin, the spirit of the craftsman. This is someone who dedicates their life to perfecting a craft, not for fame, but for the dignity of excellence every day. That's what you're doing with discipline. You're becoming the craftsman of your own life. The lie society tells is that discipline is intensity, that you must suffer, push to the extreme, pull all-nighters, or kill yourself training. The hidden truth is that discipline isn't intensity, it's fidelity to the process. It's showing up on exhausted days, continuing when no one's watching, doing it even when it doesn't make sense because you trust the system you've built. When you do this, you become unstoppable. Not because you're perfect, but because you're consistent. Constancy beats talent. Constancy beats luck. Constancy beats everything. While the talented quit at the first obstacle, you continue. While the lucky miss their chance, you keep grinding, building, and advancing. The results come not because of emotion or luck, but because you constructed, brick by brick, the version of yourself that cannot be stopped. The choice is yours. Wait for the perfect moment, or start now, with the smallest step, and transform gradually. The journey begins with one silent step. If you've made it this far, I already know you're different. You're not someone who watches for 2 minutes and leaves. You stay until the end because you're committed to evolving. If this content resonates, subscribe to the channel. I bring this type of guidance regularly. It's not about temporary motivation. It's about building a lasting mentality. Leave a like. It helps this content reach those who need it most. And comment below "Discipline is identity" to show you've absorbed this message and are ready to apply it. There's a related video here on the side that complements this subject in a powerful way. Click and continue the journey, because it doesn't stop here. See you soon.